All right, fantastic. Looks like we have some people trickling in here from Jonathan's last session. For those of you who don't know, I'm Mike Morgan with TF Labs. I work with Jonathan, and in this panel, super excited to have our good friend Chris Banburry talking about brands and entering the metaverse. I'm going to let him do a little introduction on himself, but we couldn't be more excited to have him with us today. He's really talented. He's done a lot of great work in the space and is just a great friend of our company. So, Chris, why don't you say hello?
Geez, well, thanks for that wonderful intro there. Thanks, Mike. Really appreciate it. You're Chris Banburry. I'm the founder of Vision. Vision is essentially honestly it's internet of ideas. It's a marketplace where people can go and submit ideas, get reward for submission of ideas, and then build projects together. Little caveat, little background on that is I just finished up teaching first quarter at University of Washington. I just taught a class on the Metaverse, Web3, and blockchain. And this Vision project that I'm mentioning here is actually a project we're actually emerging out of this class to go to market in quarter two. So a little bit like in stealth right now, so there'll be a lot more information on that later. So, I mean, that's who I am. I mean, it's a little bit more, got into Bitcoin in 2014. So I've been in this game for a long time. So I've kind of, in this industry, I've seen it all. So, Metaverse brands, I mean, this is a huge opportunity for everyone out there. It's going to open up markets. It's going to be super cool. So let me just get started here. So of course, brands entering the metaverse. I'd like to give a little bit of context. Actually, I didn't get a chance to see Jonathan's presentation before, but just honestly, just kind of framing what is the metaverse here. And so it's not Ready Player One or Meta, whatever Facebook is doing. If y'all have read a book by Neil Stevenson, a local Seattle author called Snow Crash back in the early 90s, he pretty much made a Ready Player One kind of vision or a meta vision out there, which was a critique on capitalism. So it's like, kind of don't do that right there and do something different. So really what the metaverse is simply a bridge between the physical and digital. And so it's bringing physical objects like into the virtual and then digital objects into the physical to a certain extent there. And it's about interoperability and composability between ecosystems. So interoperability, is moving things between different ecosystems, and composability is kind of taking Lego pieces and building blocks and building products within these ecosystems. And when I say ecosystem, that's a very general term right there. Obviously, we have tons of different blockchains out there. We have Web 2, we have Web 3. We also have cultures, and so ecosystem could be a culture. Like we have the American culture in the USA, we have the Chinese culture in China, and how might the metaverse even act as a bridge between these two cultures right there? It's interoperability and composability between cultures, which is kind of something that's interesting out there. Mixed reality, of course, I said it's not going to be Ready Player One or Meta. It'll be a mixture of our physical as we exist today in reality, but also maybe blended with the virtual, and with varying settings of intrusiveness and how that might interact. So you can be straight up in Ready Player One if you want, or you can maybe have different ways to interact without even having to strap some glasses onto your face, which would be super cool. And just reiterating kind of what I said before, there's going to be many players in this space. So interoperability, so like Meta could be one player out there, but they're going to need to interoperate with other players out there, and they need to have fungibility and interoperability of assets going across these different ecosystems. So quick framing of the metaverse right there. Switch to the next slide here. Then what is an NFT? A lot of y'all probably heard about I can just right click and save an NFT, like a JPEG. That's cool, but don't believe the haters right here. Because this is actually one of my NFTs. It's called a Wall Street chat out here. I did right click and copy it to put it here. But however, by doing that, I have no utility with it. I can't do anything with my NFT. I just simply have that image right there. So it's like I wouldn't right click save the Mona Lisa from the Louvre. I have the picture on my computer, but it doesn't give me any ownership over it. I can't do anything with it. And so a token NFT is all about the metadata, is what is contained within that token. What can you do with it? It's not the picture of it, but it's what are the possibilities you can do with it? And that's really pretty much anything. And for brands, especially at this current stage right now, it's called token gated rewards and community building. Very key for brands. Let me go into that a little bit on the next slide here. So what is token gating? It's essentially you got to hold the token in your wallet. So again, not just the JPEG on your computer, but you have to have what's called a MetaMask wallet, which is a very common wallet for holding any sort of Ethereum tokens or many other blockchains out there. So as long as you hold that actual the address or something like that, their cryptographic hash, of that JPEG or that NFT within your wallet, you get access to community. So one, you got to have access. You have to actually hold this thing to have access to these communities. And so like, damn, what you get with this here is like, yes, I have like Willy Wonka's golden ticket. I might be aging myself a bit here, but like, it's like, like you get like this like special thing, and it gives you specific access to a community or rewards or discounts or royalties or merchandising or is an example of dividends. Like, so I showed a picture of my NFT earlier. It was called a Wall Street Chad, and Wall Street Chads are investment. It's an investment fund. So you buy the NFT itself, and it gives you access to dividends, and also gives you access to write proposals, to the fund. And it's a strictly Ethereum based fund right now. But it's a kind of a cool new business model of like, what is the utility of an NFT? And it ain't a JPEG. You can really just honestly, you get creative and do whatever you want with it. But something to really take away from this token gating thing here is like, it's all about community and events and exclusive access to certain things that if you don't hold this token, you don't get it. Like you're outside the community, you're not part of it, which creates like a system of fear of missing out, and especially if things go viral. And so this is probably something that's pretty key here for new business models. And so there's some really cool things you can do with NFTs. You can raise funds. So like I just started this company Vision here. We're going to do an NFT sale probably Q2 here. So we're going to do our first round. We've actually received some grants, which is pretty cool and great validation. But we want to raise funds via an NFT sale for our community. One, obviously you want to get money in the treasury right there if you want to continue building things out, but also instead of just like going to like an accelerator or going straight to like venture capitalists, it's an opportunity to like raise the valuation of your product. And so like, obviously, like as y'all know, like, if you come into a VC meeting with like, higher valuation, obviously gonna have to give away less of your company, and you're going to get more money, like, for what you got. And so this is like really, I think, a very key point here. And this is what I've really identified in my like 8 years, whatever I've been in blockchain, like for the whole industry, is like this right now, we're on the cusp of something really great here of like, really using the community to build your brand, raise the valuation of your product, and then go to venture capital, and you still own more. You will own more of your product, which is super cool. So, it's kind of some more things on some new business models, intercommunity, like mentioning community again here, and brand collaborations. So like the NFT space, like the NFT community space for branding is super small right now. So it's like kind of like this, I hate to use the term old boys network, but like it really is turning into, it's like you help me out, like I help you out. So you go like, so what I've been doing when I've been building my community is I've been entering tons of other communities and like really kind of helping out there, just like giving ideas and just contributing there. So then when I launch my community, I have all these other communities here to back me up. And that's really key here, is that this really intercommunity collaboration and brand collaborations to kind of to get the word out. And so I mentioned before, moving on to the next little bullet point here, but reaching new demographics. As we know how the Web 2 exists today, like China is a walled garden, the West may be a particular walled garden to China as it is. There's very little, besides of course supply chain and like obviously manufacturing and whatnot, but very little like interaction between the two cultures. And so NFTs are pretty interesting, are legal in China right now. Legal, not illegal. They're legal. They're legal in China right now. So it offers like an NFT, like in the metaverse, offers a new opportunity, but to potentially have your brand like reach the consumer in China, because this is something that is like, it actually opens a kind of a floodgate in between two closed markets. So that's something that's really new, very important, is to reach new demographics, especially like China, is to be able to kind of figure out how to do these business models around NFTs in the metaverse and be able to access like, billions of new customers, which is pretty crazy out there. Some key things to keep in mind when you're doing a new business model: memes drive adoption and generate loyalty. Everyone's like heard of like Doge or like Shiba Inu or out there, or these kind of things that are, not much utility, but the cool thing about these kind of things is like they really drove adoption through a meme, and now adding utility. This is like something that's very, I want to say, like very prevalent in the space right now, is like kind of shoot first, ask questions later. Like you're getting things out there, like you want to build a community, you want to raise some funds, then you really bring the kind of the next point here, community versus corporation driven. So the community kind of really drives, like you have this core concept for your brand, you may be existing and maybe new, but you bring the community in instead of having kind of a closed ecosystem of like, just your board of directors or just like, I don't know, just whomever you might deal with like on a daily basis, kind of, driving your brand adoption. You bring the community in, and they kind of tell you what they want, and then they can help you do that. Help you kind of drive that brand and like to actually what the consumer wants. This is really quite the future of work here, and kind of what I've done with my business. Like as the future of work is like, how does someone come in and submit an idea, and like whether it be within an existing brand or community or their new community, and how do they get rewarded for that? So you can have your community could be even like your workforce for the future, where people will be able to come in and offer ideas, and they kind of get compensated for those ideas, whether they'd be like a part-time or one-off, they go to full-time, but off like a new opportunity like to meet people and have that really a community-driven project, which is obviously brands are community-driven. You have to have brand loyalty, you have to have all this kind of stuff. So it really helps kind of get down to the nitty-gritty of of like what people really want. Next slide here. Okay, so I have a couple of brand studies here just to kind of give you some framing. So Slim Jim, which is pretty interesting. I actually just saw this on CoinDesk this morning. So this is like fortuitous for my presentation here. But Slim Jim is a brand that is not associated with tech or the metaverse. It's like meat sticks, like it's old school, However, like their CEO is like quite forward looking. So they started this, first of all, what the kind of process they did is they went to the Doge community out there, and they started like tweeting at the Doge community to kind of like, okay, they want to like, kind of like talked about before, like, inter-community collaboration there. So they kind of have some fun memes and all that kind of stuff. And Doge people like Slim Jim is like, kind of cool. So they'll be able to do back and forth, so that they're able to build a community kind of there via just like social media, and kind of really bring in this like, the future of work, Doge, like NFT communities. And so what they're doing, like they tweeted this thing called Meta out there, obviously. So Meta is a play on Meta. And so they have like the Slim Jim, like in an infinity symbol, like for the metaverse, which is pretty cool, which is totally a play on Meta. And so they're really going all in on this stuff. They have services featuring virtual goods. They're going to do virtual food products. They're actually in there. It's pretty like ambiguous right now, which is honestly like, which is this industry is like, you kind of like why you bring the community. I'm like, hey, they say like Slim Jim say they want to like build a Slim Jim food metaverse, where the heck that is, but like, like people can buy, sell, trade, accumulate, like whatever these food related NFTs, and maybe even do like enter the DeFi space, like do like yield farming or derivatives on Slim Jims. Like you kind of get really creative and crazy out there. And I want to highlight kind of a couple of like key metrics for like this next slide I'm going to come up here. So Slim Jim did some basic Wikipedia research. They were invented in 1929, but they didn't sell. I think it was the General Mills in 1967. And their parent company, I don't know how many food products they have under I can't remember the name of the parent company under their umbrella, but it's like $14 billion valuation. So it's been around forever. I don't know, can't remember that, how long the parent company's been around, but like it's been a long time, from invention to like sale to like a super high valuation. So kind of the counterpoint as branding to that is like the Bored Ape Yacht Club out there. So this is like a metaverse or like a technical, like virtual native brand built with community first. And they have a $5 billion valuation roughly now. And they're talks with Andreessen Horowitz for investment, because they've built this crazy community. They minted their mint date, which means the date that they created this NFT was in April of last year. So we're even looking at less than a year ago. That price was 0.08 Ethereum, which is like $200 today or something like that, and roughly $220 today. And now they're selling for what a current floor is. The floor price in an NFT speak means like you can't pretty much like that's the lowest it's sold for. And so now it's 73.5 ETH, which is like $120,000 or something crazy out there. So it went from like $200 to the return on the investment, and like the period of time that it took to grow this brand. It's crazy, like a year. So Eminem's buying these things, like celebrities, and so FOMO is huge on this kind of stuff. So the fear of missing out, you get people around these things, and then FOMO is huge. So they do have a first mover advantage, as the Bored Ape Yacht Club, but everyone got to remember MySpace, and so like I'm of the opinion it'll stick around because it's super interesting and it's something that's new, but there's a huge opportunity. Like honestly, the Bored Ape Yacht Club, I think they started out as a JPEG, and now they've built community around it, and now they're building kind of these things separately. So if you go in with a brand, be community native first, you got a lot of potential there. And so that's my presentation on this stuff here. I wanted to go into a discussion, questions and answers. Like I'm really close to this right here. And like, I said, like I've taught a class in this at University of Washington recently. I'm building my own community around my own new brand. And so like, I've got a lot of information if you got questions.
Super, super fascinating stuff, Chris. And I particularly love the Slim Jim entering the metaverse. And thanks for taking the time to slip that into the deck.
The Metaverse, as they call it.
You know, it's one thing to tell a brand that they should be looking to do their, you know, something akin to the NFT world of Bored Apes and this very successful stuff. But it's another one to see Slim Jim just going full bore and jumping in. So sort of in that Slim Jim vein, what are your thoughts on great initial ways for brands to start exploring, you know, this metaverse engagements, these Web3 flows?
Honestly, like you need to build a community. I know everyone has a community, of course, a brand that exists out there, because you wouldn't have sales. Like no one will be buying your stuff. But like, if you don't use Discord yet, like get on Discord, and like all these communities are Discord native.
Talk through that a little bit. What do the communities look like? What are their flows? Kind of describe to me your successful cases of communities that you've seen.
Okay, you need a common idea and a common goal first. So if you already got a brand, like you've got a common idea and a goal. Of course, you've already got customers. You have you have people that are behind you. You know, and building these communities, like, and I want to bring up, you know, NFT again, is like, you know, you have a community of people that are cool. They have like-minded ideas. They want to help build stuff, but there needs to be reward and incentive built into that. That's kind of where the NFT goes in. So like, you can have a Slim Jim community that's not NFT based. It's just kind of people suggesting things and like kind of like just talking about Slim Jims and all that kind of cool stuff. But if you can create an incentivization model for people to really come in, and like actually customers coming in and talking to you about telling you what they want, and even getting rewarded by telling you what they want, that's super key right there. I mean, a Discord, you know, is pretty basic. You know, like, and you can gate it as you want it. Like, you can part of it can be token gated, like I was saying. Like, part of it can be public. People can move between the two, but it's kind of an interplay. I want to say mostly in the space, it's an interplay between Twitter and Discord. So Twitter followers and Twitter engagement drives people to a Discord. Then Discord communication drives the growth of a brand, and then drives towards a launch.
Got it. So really important for these first brands that are starting to take this social audio concept really seriously, right? And you know, the predominant move and shaker in the industry would be Discord for that, but starting to allow their communities to collaborate and intermingle with each other more so than just the current, you know, user experience of I see someone else wearing a jacket that I like, that I have. You know, that's the extent right now for some of the brands. So that's a good jumping off point. And I
want to make a key point about the Bored Ape Yacht Club. Okay, so like you see Eminem like buying one of these things for like $300K. Okay, this is pure speculation out there. This is how you market this stuff. Eminem didn't take his $300K and like, I want to buy a Bored Ape yacht. Like Bored Ape probably, okay, just don't quote me on this. It's just me knowing the industry, gave Eminem this like whatever, the ETH to buy it or something like that, you know, or whatever. Just gave it to him and said this was worth $300K. So he went out, like he made money off of it in some way, you know, as a spokesperson, you know, for the brand.
Absolutely. I think that's a huge distinction to make for the brands. Chris, just do 30 more seconds for them on just how what they see in the news is not what's happening in real life.
Exactly. And like that's just it. Like this, the whole LOL, right click, save, ha ha ha. Like I steal your NFT is this total BS out there. And it's people just love to drive a narrative. I mean, it's like everyone's an armchair everything out there. Everyone's an armchair scientist. Everyone's an armchair general. Everyone's an armchair NFT expert out there. It's just endemic in everything in social media out there. And so just never like obviously do your own research, you know, on everything right there. But it's like, you know, it's just, you know, y'all are here because you're interested in it. So you probably do know that exists. Like, it's not just a right click save, but like you really just do your research.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for saying that. I can't tell you the amount of times that we talk to brands and organizations that just want to be the next Bored Ape Yacht Club without understanding, you know, not only is the community aspect critical, but there's a lot underneath the surface. This is an iceberg, and what you see in the news, what you see, these price floors are just the tip of this behemoth.
And like we're like you know, in the space now, I mean, like, you know, blockchain generally is like we haven't even had our Netscape moment yet. There's not been some particular like thing where for mass adoption, like Netscape one was like 93 or 94. I can't remember when that came out. But we're on the NFTs, and these communities are probably going to be that Netscape moment, because like the true utility of blockchain, this is, of course, is my opinion right here, is community, you know, and it's like, of course, speculation and making money. We all love doing that, you know, but it really is the ability to quantify the contribution, like the linearity of time, and be able to say, like, someone contributed, did this, they get rewarded for this, and this is like the things that are built around this community here. There are a couple of questions I saw like in the chat.
Absolutely. Ahmed Saad jumped in and he said, what about the things they said about the US government will do in the crypto world? Obviously, President Biden has been directing a lot of attention to the Department of Treasury for looking into the US digital currency. What are your thoughts on that?
Like honestly, I think it's pretty easy to define utility of an NFT. To tell you the truth, that's why I'm so like keen on, like, you know, like whatever you put in the smart contract is what you get out of it. You know, so whatever it's rewards, these dividend things that I talked about, they're a little bit gray at this point right now. But rewards and events and these kind of things, like those there's no way that they're going to be banned. Again, they're not.
I love that. You know, this is I love getting your opinions on these things. But do you? This is separate to the metaverse, but you know, direct to what Ahmed's asking us is: do you think in the next when do you think we see the release of a U.S. digital dollar?
Oh man.
If ever,
like this, we go on talk about CBDCs all day. So programmable money. Okay, China's not making programmable money. China's making a CBDC that has elements of blockchain with it, but you can't like build a business on it. I'm pretty sure Canada is doing a different route, and I think Singapore is doing a different route with regards to actual programmable money. And I would assume the U.S. is going to do the same thing. And the U.S. doesn't want to stay behind, or be behind on anything, and they obviously want to make sure that the dollar is king, and don't want a multi-currency world. So it's going to be quick. It's going to be really quick.
We're still enjoying the benefits or the detriments of a post Bretton Woods world, and so thankfully those digital dollars are still, you know, that you talked about are being developed, are still tied to the U.S. dollar. But you're right that the U.S. does not want to see kind of their global hegemony decline in a multi-distributed reserve currency for the world. And so
I think it's exciting. Like honestly, like, you know, like it's definitely a positive. These crypto needs to be regulated in some way, and crypto wasn't secret or or opaque at any blockchain transactions are totally public. Of course, there's private chains out there, but like people have been worried about like oh my god, that all the Russian oligarchs are like it's going to like buy Bitcoin and like launder it through there. No, it's actually way easier just to have a bag of cash or some gold bars and melt that shit down. Melt that stuff down, you know, and then make another gold bar or whatever. Blockchain. There's tons of companies, TRM Labs, Chainalysis out there that actually follow the life cycle of a
TRM Labs. Yeah, absolutely.
And so like this is like it's super cool. And so like there's like, you know, so the speculative assets, so people don't get screwed on pump and dumps, you know, rug pulls and that kind of stuff is great. But I think some regulation will really bring in, actually enhance this community, like how communities can form around this. And again, it's the future of work, definitely. Fantastic. I want to say, like, Rommel had a question here too. Like he said, I like the approach that you made about BAYC. Do you think the other kind of blue chip projects can reach those levels if they offer novel utility? Honestly. Like, and I think there's got to be, you know, there's fine balance. Like, so for my project, the way I'm launching it, it's marketing and community first. So all our initial money is kind of going to that, building a community around it. You know, we do have tokenomics, the economics of a token, you know, loosely defined, but more of those things will be kind of defined in the future. And so I think, you know, if they have something that, you know, is novel and like, you know, is a real utility and a real use case, and they have proper marketing and social around it and community around it, I think that anyone can like crush BAYC. To
your point, they're MySpace when we're in a.
I don't want to say like I love BAYC. So it's super cool, man. Like look what they've done. Like in a year, like went from like the valuation is like 0 to 5 billion. That's like this. Honestly, I don't have the statistics on top of my head. That's probably the quickest like unicorn status like or ever, you know, in less than a year. That's insane. And I plan on following that model with mine too, but doing it more quickly.
Ladies, you heard it here first. Chris Banburry today announces that he is going to beat BAYC's speed run to 5 billion valuation.
Exactly.
Are you going to stream it live on Twitch? We would love to see that speed run.
Yeah, absolutely. Do a speed run exactly. Well, yeah. Stream it live on Twitch like Mario Brothers. Sweet. Sounds good.
Yeah. Frame perfect NFT strategies.
Exactly.
Well, if anybody has any more questions, please put them in the chat. You know, we love, Chris is talking a lot about community, and a big reason why we're doing this is because we love the community, and we love engaging with people, and we love when they have chances to ask us questions, and when we're able to engage directly with the audience. So Chris, I unintentionally, you put such a nice bow on your whole presentation, because really that's what this boils down to is, the community with us and what we're trying to accomplish here with TF Labs and just helping more people reach this space. And so I know we're talking about metaverse, but it's almost meta that we're having this conversation inside of this bigger conversation. So
exactly. And I'm here too, like Jonathan, like Mike, the whole team, like I know them very well. So like if anyone on this call, and if you want to reach out to me via TF or whatever, like I'm super, I love this stuff. So I always love to talk shop. And like, I just like, I'm all about like, I want to say like pushing what's reasonably next. I'm like really like try to be cutting edge, but actually what can be done, but then also taking what can be reasonably done now and like create some really cool stuff, pushing the future towards some really cool things.
Absolutely. Well, Chris, I'm glad we have you pushing. You're a fantastic avatar for the industry and a thought leader in the space, and we're just so thankful for the relationship that we get to have with you and everything that you're doing. And everybody, please, that is watching, stay tuned into Chris. Chris, tell them where can they follow you? Where can they keep live updates on your $5 billion speed run?
So pretty much all my socials are at Smooth CB. So like my old school gamer tag. So Chris Banburry is my name, so Smooth Chris Banburry.
Why don't you just drop that in the chat really quick so that people can.
Like, yeah. And so like this stems from like Halo 1 days. Like
I still use my StarCraft Brood War handle for way more things than I should.
Yeah,
Smooth
CB. It's just been my thing. Like, yes, like I've kept it and that's it. There'll be like a Smooth CB token out there probably in the future. Like I'm definitely going to tokenize myself in some way. Actually, sorry, before I go, I don't want to take up too much time, but like one of the things we did in the class is creating a decentralized ideas influencer model. So how people can go around and like how they can essentially like have a basket of assets with ideas or like whatever, any, like diplomas, whatever it may be underneath an umbrella, and how you become an influencer and how people can invest in you. Like, so mine will be $Smooth CB, like when we launch that stuff out there. So some pretty cool things coming out.
Well, for the people joining us right now, congratulations. You got to hear it first, the Smooth CB future rollout. Be sure to follow Chris on Twitter, stay engaged with what he's doing, because incredibly interesting things coming out of Vision and his class and his work. So thank you everybody for joining this session. I believe next we're going to move on to gaming brands and Mecha Fight Club. Incredibly interesting project. I think it's perhaps one of the best run communities that we at TF Labs have seen, and we have seen a large number of NFT projects and communities. So it's going to be a really interesting conversation. Definitely head over to there next. And just want to thank everybody again for joining. And Chris,
thanks everyone.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, hit me up anytime. Love to talk shop. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Take care, everyone.